Good morning. I'll speak to you again today on a very important concept which children learn in school in the early years, and somewhere down the line, as we grow up, we tend to either forget it or ignore it or do not give it the kind of priority it should, um, because we get so caught up with all the other hassles of life and challenges. So, this concept is actually called the three R's, which is reuse, reduce, and recycle. Now, I explained this to my kids in the school I was teaching at one point in time, and they really enjoyed this concept, and they came up with a lot of innovative, creative ideas, suggestions on what can be done for each one of these. Especially in today's times when there is so much of pollution, there's so much of wastage, this concept really helps us to bring about a sea change in the way we live our lives, in the way we conduct ourselves, in the way we start acting more consciously and responsibly, and help the environment as well as the spaces that we live in. So, what do we really mean by reduce? Now, reduce, the word reduce means to do less of, or to bring down, or to slowly eliminate, finish, make less. So, and what are the things that currently we can do to reduce, so that there are the kind of challenges that we face in our lives become a little better. Some examples can be reducing fossil fuels, reducing cars and transportation which uses petrol, gas, diesel, all these different kinds of coal, different kinds of fossil fuels which we take out from the earth. They are essential, they are needed, but it should not become where a society just depends solely on it, and look at the kind of havoc it can create with our stock markets, with our lives, with the prices going up and down, especially with petroleum and diesel and crude oil. It creates a lot of anxiety, panic, stress, so on and so forth. So, fossil fuels can definitely be one thing we can work towards reducing. Alternatives could be, go in public transport, use electric vehicles, or metros wherever they are there, walk, cycle, whichever are more healthier than using fossil fuels. Reducing plastics and the use of plastics. And if you're using plastics, then make sure that you don't just use it one time and throw it away, discard it away, you reuse it. So there comes the concept of reusing as well. We reduce the usage of plastic, but if we do have to use it, or if we do end up using it, then we try to reuse it and also recycle it. Now, reducing junk food, that's another big, I'm aware that a lot of children like pizzas and burgers, especially in the urban dwellings, and the kind of fast food joints that there are so many of them. However, they have a lot of health implications, and if you do eat right from the very beginning, from your early years, you will realize that over a period of time, as you grow up, you are much more healthier, you are calmer, you are more focused, energetic, and more peaceful. And a lot of these things intrinsically help you to evolve into better human beings who are more conscious and more responsible. Reducing wastage. Don't waste things. For example, food. Buying things unnecessarily which you do not need. You can actually have 7 sets of clothes, for example, and you can use them throughout the year. If it really lasts you and you look after it well, you wash them, iron them, keep them nicely, you really don't need a lot of cluttering in your wardrobe or in your house or in the spaces that you live in. Bare minimum living, bare minimum essential living should be the mantra, where you also enjoy the free spaces, the open spaces, and there is space to move around, there's space to sit and relax without too much of clutter and buying unnecessary wasteful things which will cause a lot of expenditure for you. So these are things that one can reduce and work on trying to. This will help you become more stable emotionally, mentally, physically, and also financially. You will not spend a lot of unnecessary money on things that you don't really need. Reusing is a concept where you try to reuse something that has already been used, and its usefulness can continue once it has met its purpose in one state. For example, paper can be reused to make different things, to do new things with it, to do fun activities, to clean glass, for example. You know, putting it on shelves, various different things you can do with paper. You can play with paper, you can make new origami stuff with paper, so on and so forth. You can reuse cloth, old clothes that we have, rags, dusters, etc. There's so a lot of stuff you can do with them. Make strings, you can give it to somebody who can create some kind of a, again, resellable items for, people who are not economically very well off, so on and so forth. So you can recycle, reuse some of these things and make them new, or reuse them in a different state. We also get a lot of bags, bottles, jars, containers, boxes. We have the couriers, so on and so forth. So a lot of these things can be reused to store our items, or in our living spaces, in our kitchens, so on and so forth, or even in our gardens. You can create plant places where plants can grow. You can have bottles and jars and containers which can be used to do gardening. And there are tons of ideas and creative and innovative concepts on YouTube. So if you will just search on YouTube, you will find a lot of these ideas which you can actually use in your own living spaces and households. So that is a lot of about reusing. Recycling, again, are bottles, boxes, containers, newspapers. Recycling, you think that once you, also in our kitchens, we notice a lot of times we waste a lot of fruits and vegetables while peeling them, while cutting them. But a lot of these things can actually be reused or recycled by making manure out of it, which can again go into the plant or into your garden or into your crops, and helps to rejuvenate and refertilize and re-energize the soil. Mud a lot of time becomes very dry and brown, and when you try to plant some seeds, or put some saplings or plants, they normally don't grow too well. But if they get a lot of regular energy in terms of fruits, vegetables peeled off, cuts, wasted, then this will give rise to. So using a lot of wasted fruits and vegetables, adding to mud, putting water, using humidity, sunlight, air, moisture, you will also realize, when you notice very, very closely, there are a lot of small little insects or earthworms in those things. That basically helps to create the soil, make the soil more fertile. And that's how manure is made, that's how fertilizers and compost is made. A lot of muck that we consider in life uh, can go on, because that's one dimension of life, and it goes on to becoming another dimension of life, giving energy and source and power to growing seeds. So if you really were to think about it, everything can be reused and recycled, and our efforts should primarily be on how reducing our um, actions where we are just using something temporarily for one time and just discarding it, throwing it, and not reusing it again. So this concept of reducing the unnecessary things in our lives, reusing the things that we already have, and recycling things from one state to the other state, and then continuing to use them again till they are no more reusable, would really help us in living a much more uh, easier, calmer, relaxed, peaceful life, where everything is beyond your, you know, everything is within your means, and whatever you don't need is not there with you. So I hope you will think about this concept. It's an important concept, and as children start learning it and understanding it and using it in their spaces, starting in their homes or wherever they are, and try to educate a lot of us adults who either ignore, forget, or don't realize a lot of these the importance of this concept. It would really help the society overall. So I hope you enjoyed today's concept. If you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, feel free to write in the comment section below this video, and I will look forward to all your suggestions and feedback. So until next time, I'll speak to you again. Take care. Namaskar.